about clean. Talking about professional. We're 3 weeks out from UFC Iowa, the great soon-to-be strawweight champion in Canada and in Florida. The one and only, who is at UFC Miami, by the way. No invite at all. No invite. The one and only Gillian the Savage Robertson.
I hardly got an invite, honestly.
Was that a sponsor booth? Like a sponsor?
It wasn't even it was a friend sponsor. So
not the UFC's tickets.
Yeah, I got a leftover ticket from a friend sponsor, not the UFC. So
come on, Hunter.
I love it, dude. We've had so many great comments. Brendan Shaw was on to start the show. G, did you see any of that press conference with Kayla or Juliana? It was insane. It was such a polar opposite. I've never seen someone 100 to a 0 someone.
I did not get a chance to see it, but
okay.
I already know exactly which way it was going. Yeah. I'm like, just every time Juliana talks, I'm like, I don't think anybody is really enthused.
It was so bad. It was so bad. But all right, you were there live for UFC 314. I don't think you stayed for the main event. Maybe I figured that out. But how was it? How was the show? Did anything surprise you from the crowd? Were you there for the Patty Pimlet entrance? I thought that was electric. How was UFC 314 being there live?
So I showed up. I actually just walked in during the Chase Hooper and Jim Miller fight.
Ooh, nice.
Which I found absolutely hilarious that every time Chase got in a good position, everybody was booing. Just the whole crowd so behind Jim Miller. How can you hate on Jim? You know,
how can you hate Chase? I like Chase.
No, I agree with that too. But I'm like,
okay.
I feel like Jim's a legend of the sport. The whole crowd was there for him, and like literally anything good that Chase, like he got in those like calf crusher positions like twice. The whole crowd booed.
What a guy.
I got a left field question for you right away because I asked it to Grant during our watch along, and it was about Jim Miller. And I'll ask you the same question. If right now, G, if I say to you in a magic ball, G, your career will be just like Jim Miller. You will have this insane longevity. You will fight on like these mega pay-per-views, like 100, like this, just a Jim Miller career. I think future Hall of Famer, but never be like a champion or even like a title challenger. But you also have a great, great career. Would you accept the Jim Miller career, or you go, nope, I'm going to go on my Gillian Robertson way, and for better or for worse, I'll go my way?
I think everybody's goal is kind of the belt. You know, I think Jim Miller would probably say the same thing, that's what he was probably chasing.
right,
you know, like, cause I'm like, if I don't reach the belt, I hope to have a career like Jim Miller, you know?
Okay.
So I hope that if I don't reach the belt, I'm still a veteran. I'm still push and fight. Like I said, he's a crowd favorite. Everybody was there for him. The last couple of fights that he's had beautiful finishes. Like I would love to have a career like him if I didn't reach the championship belt, you know, but I'm like, right now my goal is the belt and that's it. So I think that is the story for most people in the UFC.
No, I like that. I think that's probably the best answer I heard yet of that question. Was that okay? So you watched Jim Miller and Chase. I think was the next fight the Verna fight. Did you watch that one live?
I think that might have been the next one, and I was like glued to that.
Yeah,
I honestly think she is a true contender for Weili at this point. If they do match up, I think that the fight could very well go Verna's way. I think she does take a lot of damage, but I also think she has this like almost like she doesn't care. Like she's going to keep on going and get that takedown regardless. So I think that would be her biggest, obstacle against Weili is getting caught somewhere coming in. But I also think that if she keeps on pushing the pace that like she usually does, she'll be able to get Weili down and control her or finish her even.
No, 100%. I'm with you. I also just like how slick were the transitions on the ground. Like, is she somebody you watch film on quite a bit? Just like the way she transitions from the back to the arm, back to a good position consistently.
Actually, no, I don't really. Just because I really find her style too much jujitsu. and not necessarily MMA. So she is a beautiful jiu-jitsu grappler, but I don't think she necessarily has the skills to do damage on the ground, which is that's really what the realm that I'm trying to be in more.
Makes sense. Yeah. No, and that's I think a big piece missing is ground and pound from her game. It's all about hunting these subs, you know.
Oh yeah, and it's like the more damage you do on the ground, the more the opportunities for the submissions are going to open up, you know?
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like that's one of the reasons she's not necessarily she's dominating a lot of these fights, but not necessarily getting the finish?
Yeah, probably more so because she's obviously like the way she controls these girls, and like you said, the transitions that she goes to for these submissions. She's constantly trying to attack in a jujitsu manner, but I don't feel like at any point she's really like wearing these girls down, breaking them, doing damage, like really taking them out of the fight.
So that was the prelims. Dominic Reyes gets on his winning ways.
Let's
Gene
go.
Silva keeps on winning fights. Yair, were you there for the Patty? Were you in transition of leaving, or did you see the Patty Michael Chandler sabotage? It was insane.
I actually watched that from the Uber.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
So I just want to say I don't know. I was sitting in the sauna Saturday morning. Gene Silva comes in and was doing like his whole like fight morning shakeout with the fighting nerds at Goat Shed.
Yeah.
So we got to like just watch that preparation, which also saying like Roofy was there hitting pads, the cleanest thing I've ever seen in my life. Just absolutely beautiful to watch. But at the very end of Jean Silva's workout, he started doing, his barking thing, and the whole gym started doing it. And you could see he just almost had like tears in his eyes. He was just like so thankful for the moment and thankful for all the support. And I'm like, in that moment, I was just like, oh, like he's going to win this. Like he just believes in himself so much, was so confident in that moment, so thankful for that moment. I just knew he was going to walk out there confident and like, what a game plan going into that fight too. Just shutting Bryce down on every single turn. It was absolutely beautiful to watch.
The thing that we mentioned so much on the watch along, like it felt like Gene Silva could have won that fight any way he wanted. Like he wanted to get a kick knockout, elbow knockout, punches. Looks like he wanted the submission win against Bryce Mitchell. Like he fought for that submission in the first, got it in the second. And like you could tell when he got it there in the second, like he wasn't giving it up. Like he was going to win via submission, which is just absurd. Like it's so hard to win fights. It's then so hard to get a finish to win a fight. How insane is it to be like, hey, I'm going to finish this guy by this way? Like it felt like in his head, he wanted a submission win. It was insane.
I feel like he was also like slowly breaking Bryce down kind of mentally. Like after he stuffed Bryce's first few shots, you really saw him kind of, he wasn't as confident in his striking and his shots and anything like that. And that's why he really started holding on to the takedowns. So he was holding on to the legs more, and holding on to the legs gives you an opportunity to jump on the neck, which obviously was a beautiful job from John Silva. I just think like the fighting nerds, I've said it before, I'm like, they come in so well game planned. I feel like it's obvious they studied their opponent. They watched Bryce Mitchell, knew everything he was going to do, and were ready for all opportunities.
I feel like that first round, it was all making reads. That's all he was doing. He's making reads. He's finding his range. He's setting his traps. And then, like, Dave, you were saying, like, I just felt like he was toying with him all through the second round.
Like, that's Bryce Mitchell, too. Like, he's had really good wins in the UFC. He's defeated Edson Barbosa. Dan Ige. Didn't he defeat Shane was someone else? Like, he has another good win. Maybe it's not Burgos. But good wins in the UFC.
You want me to pull L database?
With watching, you said Patty in the Uber G to get home before the main event is over. Great post, by the way. Love that. Insane. We haven't even talked about Patty. We've been on for an hour and 10 minutes. Guys, it's time for everyone to get on the train. He is. Say again?
Those are his only good wins.
Ige, Barbosa.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
We've got Tyler Diamond, Bobby Moffett, Matt Sales, Charles Rosa, Andre Feely, Edson, Dan Ige, Crone Gracie. It's not quite the resume I thought it was, to be honest.
Gotcha. How did you think of the Patty Pimblett performance, G?
I think it was kind of what I expected, honestly. I feel like I expected a dominant performance from Patty. I don't know if I expected a TKO finish. I expected a submission, probably, honestly. There was part of me that was leaning towards that. But yeah, definitely a dominant finish for Patty. An absolutely insane walkout. Just the energy, like I said, I was leaving. I was getting out of the arena at that point. But I'm like, I've watched all the videos and everything. I'm like, the energy in the arena, you can see it, just the star power he has. And the only thing that I will say is, because I'm definitely a fan of Patty after his last 2 fights, I want to say. The Bobby Green fight and this fight, I feel like he's looked very well. But I saw a post saying that all of his opponents are 0-13 in their last fights.
Wow. I did not see that.
His last 3 opponents together are 0-13.
Yeah.
Chandler, Ferguson, Gordon, right?
No, and Bobby Green.
Bobby Green.
Yeah. So I'm like, they're 0-13 in their out of his last 3 opponents. So I'm like, that's not a good look either.
Yeah, he's definitely getting boosted up the rankings. Like, they have matched him up very favorably, which begs my question, like, just what do they do with him now? Like, can his best matchup in the top 5 is probably Gaethje? Do you feel like he gets past Gaethje?
I don't know. I think that, I definitely think that Gaethje's a tough matchup. I don't know if he is ready for those matchups yet, you know?
I agree. And you ready for this one? I know this sounds horrible. Gaethje doesn't fight Patty Pimblett. I'm like, I think Gaethje has made enough money, and I think there's a little bit of like, he can leave whenever he wants, or he could just take a year off. Probably not bad for the body and the mind for Gaethje. I don't think Gaethje thinks he's next for Islam. There's no way he's going back and fighting Patty. Like, I would be shocked. There's not a lot that shocks me in this business. I would be shocked if Gaethje fights Patty. But I do agree that's the best chance for Patty. Does not beat Charles Oliveira. Like, he doesn't beat Charles. Arman will wrestle the crap out of him, right? Like, Ilya, I think, gets that chin. I think this was a really good one for Patty.
He has a heck of a chin. I will give Patty that. Like, he has a hell of a chin, but he is hittable. And I think
Volkanovski, Holloway,
huh?
Like, Ilya, Max never got knocked out.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, like, I think Ilya has the power and the sharpness to connect, on somebody that gets hit a lot.
And guys, let me know if you disagree with me, G and L. Why doesn't Patty beat Charles? Because he doesn't. He's not as talented as him anywhere. I think if it's just a straight kickboxing fight, I think Charles wins. I think if it's just a grappling bout, I think Charles wins. I think Charles is better than him everywhere. Like, tell me if I'm wrong.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, no, I just don't think he's that top tier yet.
Yeah. Guys, stop bringing it up, Dustin. It's not Dustin. Dustin's got 1 fight left. It's not Patty Pimblett. We know who it is. I think most of the world does. It's not Patty Pimblett. You don't have to worry about it. So you don't have to bring it up. There we go. Who knows? Maybe G's on that card too. Maybe a Kansas City to a New Orleans card. Who knows, G?
That'd be cool.
All right. What else? Okay, and then the main event. Volkanovski reclaims the featherweight championship. I thought he looked awesome. I think that cemented for me the greatest featherweight ever. I know there's Ilya and Connor. Those guys didn't have long enough runs. Max Holloway and Jose are the next two. Max lost to Volk 3 times, and then Jose's the argument. I that's a great fun debate. But Volkanovski did defeat him. I know they're at different times, but he did defeat him. And then I think Volk, he's got wins against Mendez, Korean Zombie, Aldo, and Max. And now he's got wins against kind of this newer era of Yair and Diego. I think Volk, to me,
I don't think that resume, because the age of the fighters makes a big difference. And I don't think that resume stands up against Aldo's. I love Volkanovski.
Yeah.
But Aldo was beating prime Chad Mendez. Volk was beating old Chad Mendez,
Yeah,
I knew Volk beat Aldo, but once again, Aldo was an old man by that point. He wasn't the same Aldo. And old man Aldo is still killing it.
No, Aldo, did you guys see? Oh, Aldo wasn't as old as people think he was when he did fight Volk.
What year was that? Database.
I think I saw something that he was 34.
I feel like Aldo and Max both just have like never aged. They've fought forever.
That's true. Jose's amazing. I love Jose.
No, I know you love him too. I just
love Jose.
When I just look at the prime era of guys he was beating.
No, it's great.
Mark Hominick, Kenny Florian, Chad Mendes, like all in their prime. Frankie Edgar, Korean Zombie when he was good, like when he was young and hungry and dangerous. Not Korean Zombie that Volkanovski fought. Ricardo Lamas when he was in 2014, Ricardo Lamas, 2014, Chad Mendes, 2016, Frankie Edgar.
I have him as the second greatest ever. It's not like I just like
talking about how Yair is like a meh win.
No, Yair's a really good win, and that was his prime.
It is a good win, but we also but he hasn't looked great in performances against Pitbull. You know, like he won on Saturday, but I didn't go, oh my God, Yair is like, he's not beating guys the way Max Holloway was, you know, which is why Max is such an amazing win because of what he did to Brian Ortega and Calvin Kattar. And
oh wait, that's another one. Volkanovski defeated Brian Ortega, I think, in his prime too. That's another one.
Yes, that it hasn't aged super well, but I don't want to say it hasn't. Let's be honest, because age-wise, Brian Ortega should still be in his prime, right?
They're both amazing.
Just smiling and laughing.
Yeah, you guys are just going back and forth on this argument. I'm just like,
I'm sorry. Where are you on this? And it's a fun debate. There's no. I love Jose Aldo. I don't want to ever speak ill of that man's name. He's a freaking living legend. Love that man. But one is one and one is, I think, two. G, where do you see Volk and Aldo for you?
I guess the only, I don't know. I feel like Aldo might have had a greater reign, but I think Volk might, just because of the time of the fighting, like the sport evolved so much in the time that Volk became champion, where I'm like, he just was a better fighter as a champion. And I feel like I don't know, like the max wins and three max wins. Yeah.
3 max wins.
No, don't get me wrong.
Like,
devil's advocate.
That's a great answer, G.
How many guys from Jose Aldo's era could you take with their skill from that time, put it into today's era of MMA, like you said, that has evolved so much, and they still dominate people? I think if you took prime Aldo with his 2014, 2016 level skills and stuck him, he's young, he's healthy, he's hungry, just threw that version of Aldo into today's division, I think he's just as competitive as he was then. And I don't think that's true of a lot of the other guys that we call the greats of the sport, you know? Right. I don't think prime GSP, if he came up in our time, he would have different skill sets. I don't think you could take that GSP and put him in with Usman in Usman's prime and him do as well, personally.
It's a very fun debate. Two of the greatest of all time. I think L is brilliant and smart. So
and wrong, which is
here's a great comment. Goes, I think Gillian's going to call out Lamoche after she beats Marina. Any truth to that?
Oh, we're not going to talk about that.
Wow! Hey,
wow. True.
I like that.
That's what every time Dave, anytime I say I won't talk about something, Dave says that's true. So that means it's true.
It might be.
It might be Dakota Ditcheva just hanging around at all the UFC shows. That's all I know. It's so funny. She's a free agent, and she was in London, and then all of a sudden the UFC a couple weeks later is in Miami. How did that happen?
She's a free agent. She's not a free agent.
The UFC took their show to Miami specifically for Dakota.
And then she was still in London during the Miami show, but they were there for her.
What a great comment this is by our guy, Dean Toole. Imagine if Aldo also fought 135 his whole career. That's insane.
He's got my back.
Yeah. No, dude, Jose's a living legend. That guy is literally a living.
I'm such a big Aldo. I probably have a really strong, and I love Alexander Volkanovski.
How can you not?
Nothing away from his legacy. The max wins, all of it's incredible. I don't know what my bias is towards Jose Aldo. He's like the opposite fighter that I am. But I love him. I freaking love him.
Dean Toole, he's such a great man, brother. I feel bad. The last interview, I saw him with Nina talking about how he can't remember things anymore. It just shows how much he put into the sport.
It is sad. Is he talking about Aldo?
I think so.
How does Aldo stay that shredded? How is he not aged?
I know he hasn't aged. It's funny. I think out of any weight class, that's the greatest 1-2 GOAT debate. And also, let's just be honest, some of the GOATs are not very fan friendly, or one is like very loved and one is kind of like hated almost as a bad guy. Volkanovski and Aldo, you could argue, are the two most beloved fighters of all time, and they're like in the same. It's amazing, and it's
the same. That's why the argument's so fun.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
Like, as much as I'm arguing with you about this, it really is like right here. Like they're right there.
But I guess imagine if they fought each other. That would have been crazy to see. Oh, they did.
You mean in both their primes?
I got it.
And we've established Jose as a bantamweight. Always should have been a bantamweight.
Last thing for G, we'll let you run. We know we got a couple weeks left to Iowa. You're probably flying on a plane in 13 days, 14 days?
Something like that. Yeah, we're 3 weeks out, so
insane.
Yeah, probably about 2 weeks. So I'm out there in Iowa.
How pumped are you to be fighting in wrestling country?
I'm just super excited to be out there. I'm super excited to be in front of a crowd, not to be at the Apex. And yeah, that's about it. I'm just excited to not be at the Apex more than anything else. I'm like,
you drive down and look at all the corn.
Yeah, I've heard that's pretty much most of what I've heard that people have told me about Iowa. But yeah, that means that there's nothing to do out there. So they're going to come watch fights, and there's going to be good energy in the building. And the fights are stacked. The card is stacked top to bottom. And like literally, I thought I was going to be on the main card. I'm like the third fight on the prelims because there is so many good fights on it.
I saw that, G. I literally was bringing up the card. I was shocked. I'm just like, it's you and Marina. Like Marina's fought. She was like in the number one contendership type of fight a couple of times. Like this is.
She's had a couple of main events.
Yeah. Nice. Like,
I mean, do you think you're going to be done early at least?
Oh yeah, that's the best part about it. No matter what, is you get out of there early. Like there's nothing better than going in fighting and coming out and it's still light outside. You're just like, oh, I have the whole day to still go do whatever. And on the opposite end, when I fought in Abu Dhabi, there's nothing weirder than getting out of there at like 4 a.m. and being like, I just fought. Like,
there's no restaurants open.
Yeah. Well, we were it was COVID, so it was Fight Island then. So it was okay, but it was still just like, it's like early morning, dark. And you're like, what do I even do with myself at this point?
That's crazy. Who's going out with you, G? Who's like your corner team?
I'm going to have my Dean, obviously. Dean's always with me. Roy Echeverria and my coach Mango, my boxing coach.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it. All right.
Well,
maybe I'll get the invite on the next one. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about old Dave. All right. Just But when we fight for the title, I know Lamoche will be next, and then Verna will upset Wei Lee. So it's you and Verna. Spring of 2026 in Las Vegas, maybe in Miami, maybe a co-main event, UFC 328.
It depends where Dakota is, though.
Good boy. Well, I don't care about Dakota Ditra. I care about Gillian the Savage Robertson. Don't quote me on that one, please. But G, we can't wait. I would assume maybe one last week, next week, and then after that, of course, we won't bother you on travel day and flying day. We hope to talk to you after your win, kind of that Fight Bananas ritual post-fight win interview. But we appreciate you, G.
Of course. It's always good to talk to you guys.
Later. Gillian the Savage Robertson, UFC Iowa, a couple weeks away. We'll see you soon. Later, G. The best.
Only a couple weeks. I wonder if we're going to do a Easter Sunday morning brew